But not everyone was laughing. While the village danced, a shadow crept closer, drawn to the power of the flute. This is Chapter 3. Johan helps the man to his feet, while Peewit warns him to be sensible or face another tune from the flute. The man seems to understand the warning as Johan supports him. Suddenly, the man lets out a loud scream. The man accidentally hit Johan's face when Johan trying to keep him steady. Panicking, the man runs away shouting about wizards, while Peewit and Johan watch in surprise. Peewit's mischievous grin suggests he's enjoying the chaos his flute has caused. Peewit points out that the man is running off with Johan's sweater, urging him to stop the thief. Johan, however, seems more concerned with returning to the castle. As they walk through the forest, Peewit notices Johan's gloomy expression and asks about it. Johan admits he's worried the troublesome flute will cause more problems. Meanwhile, a panicked man keeps running through the forest shouting about wizards. Alerted by the noise, the red-clothes man who rides his horse through the trees, while the running man warns him to watch out, waving his arms frantically. The horse rider recognizes the man as someone they had seen earlier lying on the ground, now urging him to flee because of the supposed wizards. The red-clothes man rides swiftly on his horse, catching up to the man who is fleeing in panic. The running man claiming he was bewitched by a flute. As they continue running, the rider incredulously asks about the flute, wondering if it indeed had 6 holes. The man, still frantic, retorts that he had no time to count the holes. The man waves his arms wildly, explaining that the flute made him dance uncontrollably until he became dizzy and fainted. The rider listens intently. The man, still panicked, rushes away on foot, yelling wizards as the rider stops chasing him. The red-clothes man realizing that Johan and Peewit have the flute. He feels fortunate, thinking that luck is on his side. Meanwhile Peewit, sitting atop his goat, looks towards Johan who getting ready to ride his horse, while Johan comments on the strange feeling of being watched. Johan rides confidently on his horse while Peewit, atop his goat, dismisses Johan's concerns about being watched, joking that Johan might be having visions. They continue their journey, slightly more at ease but still a bit wary. However, Johan's instincts prove correct as a pair of eyes peek out from the foliage, confirming their suspicions. Peewit suddenly points excitedly towards the quarry, recognizing the person who had earlier asked them for directions. As Johan and Peewit approach, the person on horseback waves enthusiastically, signaling them to come closer. Johan asks if something is wrong, and the man explains that his hat blew off while he was passing by the quarry. They all look down into the quarry, and Johan offers to go down and retrieve the hat, noting the man's inability to do it quickly. Peewit shouts down to Johan, urging him to be cautious and not risk injury for the hat, while Johan carefully navigates the rocky cliff. As Johan begins his descent, a man seizes the opportunity to plotting to do bad thing while the others are distracted. The plotting man observes Johan's progress, counting holes of flute on Peewit's hand, while Peewit gives confusing directions to Johan, mixing up left and right. As Peewit warns Johan about the danger of rocks rolling down the hill. Peewit is not aware the red-clothes man is picking up a rock. While Peewit questioning Johan what Johan would do without him, the red-clothes man get ready to hit Peewit using rock from behind. But the man unaware of the Peewit goat's presence. Suddenly, the goat charges at the man, sending him flying through the air with a startled cry. Peewit watches in surprise. As the man tumbles down the hill, he cries out for help, his arms flailing wildly. The man continues to roll uncontrollably, exclaiming in panic that he is doomed. With a loud splash, the man lands in a body of water, sending waves crashing around him as Johan has just reached the bottom of the cliff. The man struggles in the water, splashing frantically while gasping for help as he admits he can't swim. Johan springs into action, he get ready to jump into the water to help the sinking man. The man continues to struggle in the water, his movement stops when a falling rock hit his forehead. Now he is sinking for real. Meanwhile, Peewit clings nervously to a rocky cliff, expressing his fear and frustration about the dangerous situation. Johan emerges from the water, pulling the man as they both float towards safety. Peewit rushes down the rocky slope to assist Johan, who is helping the man out of the water. Johan reassures the man, promising help as Peewit approaches energetically. With the man safely on the bank, Johan sits beside him while Peewit teases him about his unexpected dive. The man, looking a bit dazed, tries to explain himself as Peewit jokes about him thinking he's a bird. The man defensively claims it was Peewit's goat that caused the mishap, insisting it jabbed him with its horns. Peewit, surprised, questions the man's certainty with a hint of disbelief. Peewit is determined to give his goat a lesson for its mishap, while Johan encourages the man to try and get up. The man looks up at the height they need to climb and expresses his doubt, fearing he could never manage such a feat. Johan reassures the man by promising to get help from the castle, suggesting that with assistance and a strong rope, they will succeed in getting him up. Peewit suddenly remembers something important and tells Johan to bring his flute he left uphill. The man in red surprise hearing Peewit that his flute was left uphill. Suddenly the man stands up and suggests he might try climbing up with a bit of help. Johan agrees to assist him to climb up. With Johan and Peewit's combined efforts, the man starts ascending the cliff carefully. At the top of the cliff, hidden behind a heavy rock, a creature spots someone and signals with determination, ready to move forward. As the creature receives encouragement from a companion, it feels emboldened and ready for action. Meanwhile, Peewit goat munches on bush nearby, seemingly unaware of the creature hiding under a bush with a flower, with a flute resting beside it. The goat suddenly sniffs the Smurf's leafy disguise in confusion, its curiosity piqued by the unusual bush. With a question mark floating above its head, the goat seems to wonder what peculiar plant it has stumbled upon. As the creature grabs the flute, the goat munching the bush that is a cover for the creature to hide. The creature is so surprised. Startled, the goat is taken aback when the bush suddenly pops out and shouts, "Hey!" The goat jumps in shock, scattering dust, while the creature drops back on the ground. Nearby, the man in red is peeking through the top edge of cliff, urging Johan and Peewit to give him another push, while the creature in the bush stops moving. With a determined look, the man crawls forward, thinking he's spotted his target, feeling triumphant as he reaches for the flute. Suddenly, the goat appears, startling the man. He surprises and realizes he's been caught off guard by the goat. Peewit and Johan find themselves clinging to the edge of a cliff as the goat stands above them, blocking the man to climb up the edge of cliff. Peewit to shout at the goat to wait. Johan echoes Peewit's call, trying to grab the goat's attention to prevent any further chaos. Peewit, now climb out of the edge of cliff, scolds the goat, urging it to leave the man alone since he hasn't done anything wrong. The goat responds with a defiant bleat, while Peewit, still on the ground, admonishes it for being rude and demands it leave his sight. Johan tries to smooth things over with the red-clothes man who introduces himself as Mathus Peppersack, while the goat is scolded by Peewit for his antics, threatening to withhold cabbage as punishment. The goat seems unbothered, adding to the humorous tension of the moment. As they ride away, not only Mathus feeling frustrated of failing to get the flute, but also the creature that hide in the bush. Later, in a cozy interior, Peewit cheerfully enters a room with a tune, behind him by a man carrying a bowl. Peewit enters through a large wooden door, greeted with surprise by a man in a red tunic, who seems taken aback by his appearance. As they walk together, Mathus shares that there have been many compliments about Peewit, who is shocked and curious about where such praise came from. The exchange seems to lift Peewit's spirits as they continue down the hallway. Mathus enthusiastically tells Peewit that he was described as clever, strong, and hardworking, causing Peewit to blush and modestly dismiss the compliments as exaggerated. Their friendly banter continues as they climb the stairs, enjoying the positive sentiments. As they continue their conversation, Mathus notes Peewit's love for art and music, to which Peewit eagerly agrees, adding that he enjoys playing music himself. Mathus expresses his own enthusiasm for music and asks Peewit if he shares the same passion. Peewit beams with excitement, confirming his love for music and offering to play for Mathus. Mathus is delighted by the prospect, expressing his passion for music as an essential part of his life. Thrilled by Peewit's offer, Mathus eagerly awaits the performance, while Peewit dashes off to fetch his instrument. As Peewit hurries off, Mathus smirks to himself, plotting something mischievous and feeling confident in his plan. He approaches a candle stand with a sly expression, seemingly ready to use it as weapon for his scheme and believing no one can stop him. He hides the candle stand behind his back and waiting for Peewit to return. Peewit enthusiastically tunes his guitar, promising to play The Ballad of the Lame Knight, while Mathus seems apprehensive about what's to come. 2 hours later, Peewit is still energetically playing his guitar while Mathus dozes off in a chair, overwhelmed by the lengthy performance. Peewit cheerfully asks Mathus if he should continue singing, but Mathus hurriedly insists that the performance was brilliant but more than enough. Mathus, curious about Peewit's abilities, mentions seeing him with a flute, and Peewit warns that it's no ordinary whistle. Peewit explains that the flute is enchanted and causes people to dance uncontrollably when played. Mathus laughs in disbelief at the idea of a magic flute, prompting Peewit to challenge him to come along and see for himself. Peewit, with a mischievous grin, leads Mathus through a stone corridor, warning him playfully about the surprises ahead. Mathus seems apprehensive, thinking to himself that the ordeal might finally be over. Suddenly, a loud "BOM" startles them, and Peewit exclaims in excitement while Mathus is left bewildered, questioning the source of the noise. Peewit joyfully identifies the sound as the dinner bell, urging Mathus to hurry and not miss the meal. Matt thus watches in surprise as Peewit dashes off energetically. Meanwhile, a frustrated Matt thus mutters to himself about a plan that never seems to work. He leans against a stone wall, pondering his next steps. A short while later, in Peewit's room, filled with an array of medieval items like armor, a shield, and a large blue chair. From atop a table, a helmet seems to whisper urgently, accompanied by the glow of a nearly spent candle. The helmet continues its conversation while a small creature hand out from helmet and reaching for peewit-Flute. And so, another chapter ends, but the adventure is only just picking up speed. What happens next? You won't have to wait long. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. A new chapter drops every day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.